Welcome to unPACKed, an open-minded podcast taking a clinical, not political approach to helping pet parents around the world. I'm Sailor Jerri, certified dog trainer, virtual dog training revolutionary, owner of Tulsa Pack Athletics, and creator of the open-minded approach.
And I'm Mattison, her friend, certified dog trainer and behavior consultant. Together, we have nearly 3 decades of experience in behavioral dog training.
We've been working with real dogs and the humans who love them to create solutions to problematic behaviors that feel too big for them to tackle on their own.
This is Unpacking the Open-Minded Approach, a special episode 3 years in the making. The open-minded approach isn't just a framework, it's the heart of everything that we do as trainers and teachers. Today, we're breaking down where it came from, what it really means in practice, and why it's so different from the traditional pet dog training industry. We'll walk through the 5 pillars of the open-minded approach and share how they guide the way we train, teach, and support both dogs and their humans. If you've ever wondered what truly sets our work apart, settle in with us and unpack. This episode is definitely a long time coming. 3 years, 4 years?
Bro, I can't even
Almost
handle
5?
it. We were just talking for 30 full minutes before this, like passionately, like we were standing at a seminar and there were people around and it was just me and you.
I know. I feel like we had to get that out though. Our emotional word vomit. So we can coherently talk about this because it's something we care about. Oh my gosh. It's everything. It's everything in what we do. When people ask us, what is it about the way that you train? Like, what is it that makes different? This is the answer. It's the open-minded approach. And so I guess that's probably a good place to start. We're going to be unpacking the open-minded approach today, not just what it is, but how it got started, what it means in practice, and why we are so obsessed with it and why it's at the core of everything that we do. So Jerri, I know I primed you with this question maybe last week sometime, but if you could describe the open-minded approach in one sentence, what would it be?
Like what we decided and what you prompted me. Can I read it? Just because that's what I'm about to say is a lot of years of me mulling over this and thinking about the most concise way to say it. But I like this. It's a way of living and working with dogs where dogs, humans, and society all matter individually and collectively. Now, that may sound like a little hooty-hoo, wah, wah, wah to people. If you were to just ask me without that, to me, it's a way of working with dogs where humans, dogs, and society all matter is what I would have probably said simply. But what does that mean? What does all matter? Well, we matter collectively and we matter individually. And it's a cost benefit analysis on why we make some of the decisions that we make a lot of times. And I really want to stress that the open-minded approach puts a heavy emphasis on cost benefit. It's really important to weigh the cost of something against what you're going to gain from it. Because if the cost is too great, and think about it, everybody knows that concept. That can resonate with every person, that if the cost of something is too high and you're not willing to pay that price for what you're going to get, you really got to think about what you're doing, because you're walking into a mistake somewhere and it's going to hurt somebody. It might be your dog. It might be a human being. It might be just society in general, because we collectively make so many yucky decisions that now we're all hurting.
I think it's also worth mentioning here that Jerri and I are both values-led people. And so this is not about sacrificing your values for the sake of compromise. We actually believe in being values-led all the time. However, there's a fine line, because your values, your ideals, they matter, but we live in the real world. So being an idealist is not practical and is not actually going to yield any results in your life with your dog. We have to be realistic. We have to look at the actual situation for what it is and understand that unless you are living alone off-grid somewhere, which is totally possible, then society is a part of the conversation. And we need to be talking about that. And we need to be living in reality.
Well, to do that, you'd have to have somebody that's lived in reality. The reason that there is controversy over ideology in dog training at its core is simple to me. If I were to explain that, I would say when people that have not had a walk around the world, a walk in the world, a walk among people, start making not protocols, but help me, Mattison. They start making
policy-based decisions.
Thank you.
Policy informing decision.
Yep. When people who have had little strife in life and would even argue with you about the strife that they've had because they're completely and totally unaware that something like having a hard time in college is very relative to some other things that some of us have endured, right? So when people like that start making policy-based decisions, especially those that affect the community, you can be sure that it is not going to include multiple different perspectives that are existing commonly among people and dogs. You can just be sure. When you get one type of lens, one type of group of people, and I'm not having it anymore. I'm not having it. And I would also like to take this opportunity to say, and you can back me up on this if you want to, or you can stay silent on this. The open-minded approach is positive reinforcement based. And the insinuation that it is anything other than that by anyone, that is a bold-faced lie.
The open-minded approach is an unwillingness to use aversive tactics on humans.
Yeah, I will not do it. And I also will not shun people. There's a reason why in AA the requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking.
Yeah.
It is not you have stopped drinking. Because you know why? Because everyone would be dead. That's why. Everyone would be fucking dead. And what good are we going to do there? So it's, do you have a desire? I can't tell you. I've been drunker than a skunk, drunker than Cooter Brown in meetings. And they had to put up with that shit. But you know what? I came back and I wasn't drunk. And I remembered that even in some of my worst, most disgusting moments, in my most horrible choices, those people had compassion for me. Those people had compassion for me and remembered what it was like to be like that and to not be able to even understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. You only know what you know. It's not that much. You're trying to cope. They knew. I didn't even have to say anything to them ever. I could go in a meeting and be quietly crying and sit down, and it wouldn't even matter what I said. They all knew exactly how I felt. So that is what is missing, because dog training has either become very academia driven clinical sterile or
especially in the behavior side.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's some great people in canine behavior. I want to say that there's some great people who are incredibly educated and many of them very experienced. So I don't want to say that they're not there. I'm glad that they're there and I would encourage them to please stay. But the barrier to entry is low for dog training. And so what that also attracts is the other extreme. So at the end of the spectrum, where you have on one end, clinicalized, sterile, without diversity as the main lens, then on the other side, you have really just pure ignorance, irresponsibility, and true ignorance about the overall impact of what you're doing.
Reckless ignorance.
Reckless ignorance.
Well-intentioned, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think most of the people that work with dogs, for whatever reason, have a special place for dogs in their heart. To say that the man that backyard breeds, that I love dogs more than him and I can prove it, that's, I don't know what's in his heart. And I don't know what he's gone through. And I don't know why he's made that decision to continue to breed dogs. It may be the only thing that he has in life. And he has no idea of the overall impact of what that is. And the only time that he does hear about anything is from angry groups of white women screaming about backyard breeding.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't listen to that. Yeah, he doesn't listen to that because why would you? I don't listen to that either. So it's just you have to have been around so many different kinds of people. And I think also more than that, you have to have been many people. Wow. You have to have really been a lot of people. That's why I try to show people I'm not just flippant and doing all these different things and that I am all these people. They are all me. And I hope that in seeing that, you have permission, or you feel permission now, as the saying goes, for Marianne Williamson, for you to do what you want to do and you to shine your little weirdo ass light like I'm shining mine over here.
That just
That's what it
really hit
is.
home for me. That was really beautiful.
I feel like you've been many people too. I feel like Denise Fenzi's been many people.
Resonated with that. I'm ready to be a new person every day. I'm a Scorpio.
Every day, baby. Every day. I'll look at something I said 6 months ago and I'm like, you're so dumb, Jerri. Why'd you say that shit? God. Because I'm new. I'm new all the time. And
keeps you humble.
neither one of us are. It does. And it does. And it's so funny.
So it's fun.
So funny.
It can be fun.
I just love not taking myself seriously. Now, watch out. I can make fun of myself all I want, but if you make fun of me, we got to be really close.
What I want to talk about, if I can ask you about this concept that you and I have been kicking around a little bit, and it ties into this, of the dog training industry versus viewing dog training as a profession and kind of viewing it as this commodity, and sort of the issue there in not seeing it as the craft that it is, and what was the impact and how that hit you and also helped inform the open-minded approach.
First of all, I want to give credit to that, where that came from when I said it, and that was Daphne Mendoza, who is one of the most wonderful.
We're going to be having her on for
valuable
to talk about unpacking community. Yeah. She's a real community leader. That's what she is.
Real community leader with a real experience. And if we are not listening to people like that, we're failing as a species. We're failing in this profession. If we don't uplift them and hear what they're saying and put their suggestions into action that we agree upon, that are, okay, we like that. Let's go. Let's try that. Then we're failing. We're failing in this profession. So that's where that came from. But I sat on it and I thought about that. And that's why industry never felt right to me, but I wasn't really sure what language to use. And so when she said that, it just stuck out. Like, the open-minded approach is not about, the open-minded approach is my penicillin.
Yeah.
I don't need a patent for it. I don't need a copyright for it. I don't need to, oh, I did this and now I'm going to make money off of it. It's like the open-minded approach is my humble gift to the world. Don't know how to explain that. It's my piece of art. It's not for sale. It's not to buy.
Anybody can learn about it. Why we're teaching it right now. Like, please
anybody
just
can
come
learn
and
about
watch and you're going to learn about it.
Yeah. Now, if you want to work with me one-on-one and have me mentor you in this, but that's totally different. But all of it is available to learn and understand literally for free on the internet. If you put all the pieces together, I'm sure you could get every single thing for free. This is my thing, is I know how stuff gets changed. Certain people know how things get changed in policy. I know how things get changed on the streets. I know how things get changed in pop culture and in practice.
Yeah.
So that's where that, okay, if I listen to my mentor and friend that is a community leader saying to me, I'm going to change the language of me saying something. And here's why. It's my job with the platform, with the biggest reach, with this concept. It's my job to take that and put it out there now, and to speak like that, and to make sure that I'm disciplined in that way, and that I catch myself and make sure that I say the right thing, because she's right. And it will only help the community, but it will also help me communicate the open-minded approach. Like, this is my profession, and this is the moral code inside which I'm practicing and the lens in which I'm looking out of. It's not an industry where I have a thing that I'm selling.
So now it's time to get into the 5 pillars of the open-minded approach, which this wasn't a framework that we created these 5 pillars and then put them into practice. This was years of putting the open-minded approach into practice. And then Jerri and I locking ourselves in a room in Wichita, Rose Hill, Kansas, to actually sticky note a giant
we called it the murder board.
The murder board. And
because we felt like detectives.
Yeah, it felt like only murders in the building. And we were really piecing some things together. We redid it about 50 times that day, I think, and moved things around. But the patterns that came through and the through lines were really clear, really apparent. And it actually wasn't difficult for these 5 things to just rise to the surface of all the day-to-day of what we do. And those 5 pillars are transparency, accountability, community, accessibility, and transformation. And I do want to get into the specifics of these here, right? So what does transparency really mean for you in practice, Jerri? There's a lot of facets to this. This is not just one thing.
I'm so glad we prepared for this podcast episode, everyone listening.
We had to.
We really did.
The culmination of everything from the last like
I'm
3.5
just
years.
so happy. Yeah, I'm just so happy to have thoughtful answers to this that we put time and effort into. I hope that everyone receives it that way. Just makes me happy. So transparency started because of the board and train problem. The whole concept, I think any of us could agree, regardless of whether we do board and trains or not, is that it is a environment and a setup to a situation that is ripe for misuse and abuse by people that either don't know what they're doing or what. I don't want to make this about demonizing other trainers. So it led me down the road of what is it about that situation that for some trainers goes really well and for some goes really poorly. And some of the things that I came up with were a lot of the trainers that do board and trains well. They have cameras.
There are ethical board and train.
Yeah, they have a lot of contact with the family. They're just your basic obvious green flags of, hey, I have your dog and I said that I was going to train it. Just the things you would want to see. You'll see that really from them. But I think that some of the things we put into place that help build transparency, absolutely documenting.
Yeah.
Documentation.
Non-negotiable.
Just like, yeah. And I make jokes about it that I was a vet tech for a long time. You don't have to talk. I will document. You should see me put in some medical notes.
During my 10-week curriculum to be a dog trainer, we were taught the 10 unbreakable rules of dog training. I only remember one of them, which is that you have to document everything.
Yeah.
Because it's important. And it is for your safety. It is for the dog's safety. It is for progress. It is for so many reasons that it just needs to be non-optional, non-negotiable.
Yeah, I agree. I think also a big thing that we have done to contribute to lack of transparency is that we've made it impossible for people to share what is going wrong and what they are struggling with or where they're plateauing for fear of the crucible army. Here they come to put you on the stake and burn you. And you need to admit, heretic, you need to admit that you're a witch and you've done these evil things. It's bizarre. And so it's made people
afraid to be honest.
It's made people afraid. And you guys, I just want to stress this. However bad it has gotten for you on social media and whatever that little situation was that was hard for you, please hear me when I say, I know what you're talking about. Times that by about 1 million and then times that by 5 years. And that's how it feels to be. I don't know how it feels to be like an influencer or whatever in the other world, but that's what it feels like to have a large platform as in dog training, especially as a Black woman. You just attract a lot of people saying a lot of really weird stuff to you. That's why I push so much that piece that the open-minded approach is about a non-judgmental environment, come as you are.
Yeah.
Because I am not interested in helping people that are perfect. I'm not interested in helping people that have it all together. You need to go over there and live your life. That's not what I'm doing. And I'm happy for you. Yay, high kick. I'm looking for the people that are desperate. I'm looking for the people that are confused and scared. I'm looking for the people that are curious. So please, if you take nothing else away about what is the human aspect of it, it really is that.
Yeah. There's also an element of using video for a lot of different things. Specifically, video is a massive way that we push transparency, right? Visibility, prevent the abuse in board and trains as a just normal way to show up with your dog, because there is a lot of training that if you learn to watch it back, you will become a master at this. You will absolutely become a master at this.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing like game film.
If you film yourself, watch it back, you will advance your own skills as a handler, as somebody working with that specific dog at an exponential rate. We also are not big fans of gatekeeping, so we really like to be able to have really great examples to be able to teach and show others and not feel like there has to be this exclusive club. The open-minded approach is far from that, far from the opposite of that, in fact.
Yeah. Come on, riffraff, get in here
Yep.
with us.
So the next pillar is accountability. And I do think that accountability maybe can get a little bit complicated, but maybe not. Maybe at the end of the day, it's very, very simple. But it's not maybe just as simple as you show up and train your dog. It goes beyond that. So what would you say are some of the most important layers to this? Because the transparency piece is really about us as professionals, and this accountability piece is really for the pet parents. And we do ask our clients, you and me, Jerri and Mattison, we ask them to come to the table with a high level of accountability. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be a great fit, because this process, while incredibly effective, it requires accountability. So what is the most important piece of that? And then what are the other layers underneath of it?
The number one most important part is not living in delusional land, not living in delusional land about your dog. Don't want a Labrador life with a healer, those kinds of things. So what type of genetics does your dog have? That if you're not thinking about that, you're not living in reality. Do you have small children that run around your home, and is that acceptable in your home? It might be. It might be acceptable for a lot of people to come in and out of your house. You might not have a house like that. You might, if you want to go and get a Great Pyrenees, I would suggest that you not live in a busy house where random small children or adults walk into your house at any hour of the day. You know, that a lot of people have houses like that. I have a house like that.
Yeah.
Just people just walking in. And that's the way that I want my house to be.
So you
but
have
I
a
have a
dog who is
dog.
comfortable
Yeah, I
with
have a
that
dog that's
and
very
generally very
friendly
friendly
to
with
people.
Yep.
Yeah, bullies are great for that. If you teach them what's going on and you take the time, they're actually really great because they like
Very,
people. And
very social.
once they know somebody, they may not, depending on your dog's personality, but it's not the same as if you have a German Shepherd and you want random people to be able to come in. That's not. So I see a lot of that. I know you see a lot of that too. But just don't delude yourself about something and think that that you're going to figure it out or your virtue is going to solve the problem. It's not. And a lot of the things that we make mistakes about are because of extreme incompatibility.
Yeah.
But then we acknowledge it, we're aware of it, but we don't take the action steps to change it. We just learn to
Our
live with
expectations.
or our expectations, and we learn to live with the incompatibility. And a lot of times our lives and our dogs'
Resentment,
lives get smaller and
frustration.
smaller. Yeah, a lot of
Mhm.
resentment, a lot of frustration. It's hard to have a healthy relationship when you're totally incompatible and you don't know how to close that gap any at all.
Can be
I would,
done.
yeah, I
There's
always stop
lots of room for
saying,
compromise with incompatibility.
that's true. I would say I heard someone say once that compromise means that both parties have to give something up.
Yeah.
So she said, workability. Is there workability there? Meaning,
Mm.
is this something that can budge and change a little? Or is this this is something fixed? We can't change it no matter what. Like something fixed in Enzo is the twirly mouse problem. It's not, it's a little workable, meaning I can do things like learning how to manage arousal, prevent things from happening. It's a fixed thing.
You can't teach them to not care about squirrels.
Yeah, it just is. So I think that it's important to know that. So you said something, you said it's not just about showing up every day. Consistency
It's
has
certainly
a
part of
lot
it.
of components to it. Yeah. I think honesty is the biggest part of accountability, actually.
I agree.
To the listeners, the hardest thing a human being will ever do is be honest with themselves. Really, to be honest with themselves and to forgive themselves as a person among other people. Some people are not even aware that they need to do either of those things. And it's so painful for them to be honest with themselves. They'll hang on to behaviors that don't serve them and that don't serve their family and don't serve their dog, all out of not wanting to be honest with themselves. It is such an infamous condition in human beings that there's a phrase in AA about it, in the big book about it. It's shocking to me. Rarely have we seen a person fail that has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not, cannot, or will not be honest with themselves and seem to be like something I'm paraphrasing now, but seem to be like constitutionally incapable of doing so, like to the point of where they'll die.
Yeah.
So I know that it's not just drunks that do that. It's human beings that do that. And so the biggest part of accountability is just, it's okay to be honest with yourself. It's okay if even the answers that you find are like, "Oof,
Yeah.
big
That
deal,
happens. That happens a
big
lot.
deal." Yeah, big deal. It allows you to take responsibility without feeling shame for yourself. You don't need to feel that's the other thing. You don't need to feel ashamed of yourself for working on something. Working on something doesn't mean you're going to be perfect.
I think that this is one of the core elements of trying to dismantle how deeply woven in the savior complex is within our
Oh
profession.
God, I just
And
want to bash my head into a brick wall.
people have unfortunately bought into the lie that they are not enough for their dogs. And you are. Like, everyone is. I am not special. I learned a lot and I've practiced a lot, and you can learn a lot and practice a lot too and get there with your dog. Everybody can. And that's what this is all about, is everybody being welcome and being welcome as they are, as long as you're willing to take accountability.
Yeah, yeah. And the savior complex is a deep topic. It's a deep topic
And a real problem.
and a real problem. And it's such a problem that a lot of the things that I have to say about it are so controversial that it'll probably take another, I'm going to have to say them. And then it's probably going to take another year for people to be like, they'll start saying it. And then I'll have one of those moments where I'm like, I said this a year ago and everybody was rude to me about it. Like, I just started. The savior complex is a construct of Western society. And that's what I'll say about that. If you want to know more about that, I would encourage you to just look for yourself and look for where the origins of that are and think on that. How might this apply to the dog world, in particular, to rescues? Can I see any comparisons here? Use your own critical thinking skills and see what you think about it. But the savior complex and saving something and rescuing something, that your nobility stops there. If that's what's happening there, and for whatever reason, and I love people to rescue dogs. Please keep rescuing dogs. They need you. I'm a rescue dog myself. Little rat-a-tat from down in Georgia snatched me up. I was running around on the streets. I wasn't. My parents adopted me though, and as a baby, before I could run, or I would have been out there causing problems and wreaking havoc. But the decision, however you end up with your dog, is how you end up with your dog. And then the playing field is once again even. Everything's cleared out. Everybody's all on the same level ground because we all have a responsibility after acquiring the animal in whichever way we did to help it not only domesticate to society, because that's what we have to do, lame, build a relationship and to learn what it's like to, the way I think about it is commune with an animal and make that animal want to be with you, want to spend time with you. How fucking cool. I look at Enzo, he's like a big giant tiger. And every time we're walking in public and he's just right beside me and I just feel so cool. It's not because I'm like, think it makes me look tough. It's not because of that. It's because of Princess Jasmine. And that's a problem that we all have, which leads me to my next
Disney
point.
princess.
The Disney princess syndrome. The millennials and the older Gen Zers, listen, we got a real bad deal. Okay. We got a bad deal with Walt Disney and the princesses and the damn animals. Like, it's not
unavoidable.
Real. We can't do
we
that.
All got it. We've all got it though. We've all got the syndrome.
We can't.
We all
can
want
get
to do a
close
little
to it.
yeah. And have the birds come in and help us get ready in the morning and clean up after us. How's it work?
That's right. Oh, it just sounds so nice even hearing you say it, doesn't it? But we can come close to it. We can aim to have little snapshots of Disney princess experiences, but I'm here to tell you as a certified Disney princess myself that it takes, if somebody's making it look easy, they've been putting a lot of practice into something. And so if that's something that sounds good to you, which it does to me, Disney princessing sounds awesome to me. I just want to make sure that I've earned that title and that it's those moments happen because I support my dog. Yeah, it's not a delusion. I support the only delusion I have for the world is in my own self-confidence, and it's all used up. I don't have delusion for other situations because I've injected it right into my self-confidence. But that's all I mean by that is be careful of Disney princess syndrome, be careful of savior complex. And if you do want to do a magic carpet ride with your tiger, make sure you're prepared and that everybody's safe.
So all we ask is a little bit of preparation and safety.
That's right.
So now let's get into community, which is a pillar that I believe was borrowed from the recovery model.
Yeah. Fellowship, self-sustaining communities, which I had to build. So that's where Dogs Anonymous comes in. And we are going to do an entire episode on that at some point. Let you guys look forward to that. I don't want to talk about that too much right now, but that's part of it. Is the open-minded approach is, again, like my gift, my little crafted, put
Offering.
together. Yeah. Like at first it was just a bunch of popsicle sticks mashed together with hot glue. I burned myself. It was terrible. I cried. Yeah, yeah. It's like my little craft that I've been working so hard on to give to the world. But that is what it is. It's the gift of, how do we turn this boat towards community? How do we right this ship that is so big and so heavy and it's so hard to turn? We need a plan. We need a plan. And that plan has to include community solutions, whether everybody likes it or not. I am a positive reinforcement based trainer. Mattison is a positive reinforcement based trainer. We are so happy when we see people doing what we do. We're so happy when we just see people out with their dogs, period. Let's start there.
Yep.
But community has to involve harm reduction. There have to be harm reduction solutions, because if there are not, we all know what happens, and it's not good. It's
People
not
and dogs
good.
fall through the cracks.
Fall through the cracks.
They don't
The
find
rise
their
of
miracle.
black markets. Yeah, they don't find their miracle, and it also increases shady shit. That's a great way of saying it. That was exactly what I was looking for. So the reason community is so important, the number one reason is because when you're of service, you get outside yourself. And when we're inside ourselves all the time, you guys, we will create shit worlds that don't even exist for our own suffering, in our own heads. And so when you are of service to someone else, especially something that's meaningful to you, you get outside of yourself. And that helps you see that there are a lot more people out there than just you. And everything is not about the centering of our feelings and what's going on in our head. Those are things that are happening. So there's a lot of stakeholders out there: humans, dogs, society. We can't just be dog focused. We can't just be human focused. We can't just be fuck all the dogs. There's no more dogs allowed. Ban everything so society is safe. We can't be just society focused. It's a complicated, layered thing, but it doesn't have to be. It just takes the right minds getting together to come up with some solutions. This type of stuff is rooted in a way, in many ways, in recovery, because it's principles before personalities. So you learn that a lot of stuff that you have in your head is you just taking things personal, and you just not liking something that somebody's doing or saying. And so now all of a sudden, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Now all of a sudden it's all shit. It's like, no, because that person just has a different personality, and they're just going to do stuff a little differently than you, say things a little differently than you, because of their life experience. But the principles that we're here for remain. So the way that applies to the open-minded approach is that person may be doing something that you would never do, that you would never, or that you used to do that you don't do, or that you haven't done yet, or whatever it is. The principle is the prevailing thing, meaning if someone has come for help, if someone has come seeking, if someone has, and I just said it earlier, the desire, then that is the prevailing thing. If someone has the desire because their mind is open, and that's when change can happen. Change does not happen when we browbeat members of the community and threaten bans and say this is the only way forward. And then, to make matters worse, we have absolutely no plan to move forward outside of taking everything away from everyone. That's not community driven. That's policy driven. That's bureaucracy. And when you let that stuff inside of dog training, especially in America, it's gonna leave people out. It's gonna leave people out. And I don't want that.
Every time.
Yeah, it's gonna marginalize people. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that actually leads perfectly into the next pillar of accessibility, right? And to me, this is for everyone. And when we say that, This is for everyone. We really want to mean that. And some of that was intentional. And some of that was a wonderful consequence of us developing this delivery format over the last couple of years. But talk to me about how this format got started. And we don't have days, which is what we would need to go into this too much in terms of like, we don't have time to talk deeply about the daily method, but if I talk about the birth of asynchronous training as your model.
Yeah, I was spending a great deal of time in Italy, and for weeks at a time I would be there, and then there would be months at a time that I wasn't there, and I was going back and forth. And I had to figure out how to communicate with people that I was close with, even though the time zones were different. So that was really how I learned about, okay, there's this asynchronous way to talk to people. Many people are like, oh yeah, WhatsApp does that or such and such. Or but I mean, there are many apps that have done this. That wasn't revolutionary necessarily at the time, but it was COVID. Things
Yeah.
were wild back then. So I
Yeah.
discovered Marco Polo, which was great in the beginning for me to use with clients because it was just an easy to use app. I think anybody could have used it, but as the business grew and as I started doing more complicated things over virtual platforms, virtual coaching platforms, that term started coming
Yeah.
into
The asynchronous.
yeah, that because coaching platforms really weren't that popular prior to 2020. There
No.
were a few, but there weren't a lot. And so Marco Polo was really geared towards friends and family. But then an app came out called Volley that was geared towards the professionals and asynchronous coaching. And I had the pleasure, I think this is such a cool learning experience to work closely with the creators of the app,
Their
talking
team was
about how
great.
I was using it. Yeah, their team was really cool. Talking about how I was using it and other trainers like me, which at the time were just Madison. And of course, the Tulsa Pack trainers, but outside of my business. But so that was really cool. But it was a startup, and they ran out of capital. I think that they are back, but they would have to be
I think
around for
it's new
several years
ownership.
before I would. Yeah, before I would switch back. But a great app, and nothing but nice things to say about them. So I moved to
Yeah.
Slack and was really pleased to find out how many people out of my clients, especially, were like, "Oh yeah, I use that for work. I already know how to use that."
The
So that
familiarity
was
with
really
it
cool. Yeah.
removes a real
Mhm.
barrier for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, it does. It does. And also,
And we know it's gonna
it's
stick around.
just, yeah, we know it's going to stick around. It's free. It's
Free.
totally free. You don't have to have the pro. You don't need to be, unless you want to save those videos forever, but you can download them. But I do love it. And I encourage people to check it out if they have more questions about, but that's how it was born. And along the way, we realized that wow, I could train dogs all over the world and the time zone makes no difference as long as we both check this app once every 24 hours and we work together every 24 hours. We're both just here and
Yeah.
at the time that's convenient for us. And so I've had clients all over the world because of it, from Australia to Berlin to Saudi Arabia to I just everywhere you can think of, which is
Thailand and
um,
Malaysia, where it's like almost
yeah,
exactly 11, 12-hour difference.
yeah. It's grown me as a trainer, and that's been a gift I didn't see coming. I didn't see
Yeah.
that coming, and I like that. I also noticed along the way that the people that followed me in the deaf community were like, "Your stuff's really accessible to us. You caption everything. Your apps all come captioned." It was really nice to hear that, something of my own ignorance, of my own just not paying attention and not thinking about others that may be in my community, but I figured it out and they brought a lot of things to my attention and really helped me with that. There's millions of people in the deaf community, so they need to have access to things too.
We were talking earlier about the moment. You remember when I came to you and said, I'm not going to be training dogs in person anymore. I'm only working virtually. And it's this real shift in the way that I deliver training. And it's been years now at this point. And it's not that in-person training doesn't happen. It does happen in certain contexts, but it's not the standard every day to day because it actually doesn't mimic life. It's very performative and info dumpy and wasn't super effective in the long run versus having this daily asynchronous virtual touch point and knowing that the traditional training models leave people out. We've constantly referred back to the single mom in the city with a puppy. So what's she going to do? Get a babysitter, get on a city bus with her puppy, and go to her local pet store to do classes? That's not practical in the slightest. It's not meeting people where they are. And on top of being able to meet people in a better way, we're also able to, I think, serve certain challenging behaviors in a really beautiful hybrid format. And I think of stranger danger dogs, right? Of how many dogs have been not even flooded, but triggered at their first session because they weren't ready. And this allows us to get dogs ready for the work of behavior modification in a way that we never could if our mere presence was going to send them into a state where they could no longer learn. Dogs were not learning. We can find ways for those dogs that are easily overstimulated to learn at a very, very fast rate, and at the same time be building trust and partnership with their person, as opposed to stress on both ends.
No, I think it's revolutionary. I think I rarely think that things that I do and say years ago are revolutionary. I normally am like, ooh, because I've grown and no, this is different. Like, we've always been like, oh my God, this is like going to change everything, because you can just help so many more dogs at once. And you also, in the most strange, paradoxical way, build closer relationships with their owners. But you have to not want to be hiding from yourself. And a lot of dog trainers want to hide from themselves. If you want to hide from yourself and it's hard for you to talk to people, this is not the approach for you. You're welcome here. I hope that you come and learn, why, because I don't want to exclude anybody, but it will be a struggle for you.
Being seen.
Yeah, like this is
privately,
this is a
being
place
seen
where
privately,
we're working
in a one-to-one private channel, and nothing has to be shared publicly. Both of us have the utmost respect for privacy, but part of showing up is being willing to be seen.
Yeah.
And we work really hard to create a safe space for that.
Yeah, I think it also, because we do create that safe space, I'll show people. Just the other day, a client was apologizing for something in her house. And I walked right over to the biggest stain on my floor that's covered up with a rug and flipped it back off the thing and was like, and this is here because there's a giant stain on my floor. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about judging you. I don't care about any of that. If I see something that's real wacky, trust, I'll say something. But it's not about that.
Non-judgmental.
Yeah.
So let's get into the last pillar, which is big, massive. This is something that I think we're both just deeply connected to, the concept of transformation, right? Always ready to become a new person.
Addicted. Yeah.
Obsessed with transformation.
Obsessed. Yeah.
But not through traditional obedience training. That's related to dogs generally. We see a different path to transformation that does not rely on traditional obedience. It doesn't rely on punishment, physical punishment.
I think that a lot of working with a dog is actually animal husbandry, and everybody wants every moment with their dog to be so fucking magical, and it's not. It's just not.
It's the dark side of the Disney princess syndrome.
That's right. Sometimes when I'm out on a walk with Enzo, I'm doing husbandry. I don't want to be out there. I have 15 million other things to do. But in that moment, I'm doing really great animal husbandry. I'm making sure that his needs are met and that he's taken care of. And he has what he needs, and then I can move on with whatever. That's a lot of it. Is that, can we get back to that? Can we get back to, I said I was going to keep this creature, and I was going to look out for him or her, and I was going to do right by them, and I was going to make sure that they're good, not just in whatever delusional land that I live in, where merely my presence is enough, but to actually really find out, who is this little creature? Who is this little creature, and what does he need for me to take care of him? It's hard for people to see it with dogs, but when you have horses or livestock, when you have an animal that isn't designed to want to be just your companion or to work so closely with you as we do with dogs, you start to see that a lot of the stuff that you do with them and a lot of the way that you build a bond with them has nothing to do with when you're riding them or when you're working with them. It's the little quiet decisions. It's those little moments where you bring your grooming bucket out and you set it down and you choose to go over to your horse and stand really quietly and pet them. It's where they get to learn about who you are. Who are you?
Yeah.
But we don't think about it like that. We think about it like, I need to transform this dog. I need to fix this dog. I need to make this dog. And it's like, that's not really what's going on. It really isn't. Is you're learning how to care for the thing that you promised you would care for. And there's a lot of stuff involved in that, but I would just really like to see us get back to putting animal husbandry at the center, because I think it would make the process of letting go of that old fallacy that obedience is the way to things. And it would open the door for more people that felt that they weren't competent in that area, or that they didn't have a lot of experience with obedience. It would allow room for them to feel like they could come into and learn some things.
And I know that you've said on multiple occasions that that is just a really important quality for people to come in with, is the curiosity, again, the word desire, the desire to learn, to really already acknowledge that there are things, there's information that exists out there that you don't yet have that could change everything, and being curious, but then also looking at your dog with this wonder, right? With this curiosity and awe and wonder of this creature that I'm, like an animal that I'm literally living my life with. And there's a reverence there that maybe we could go back to a little bit more.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to see.
And the daily method at its heart is not about more work necessarily, but this is about I forgot the way that you said it. This was years ago at this point. The difference between weekly and daily. If you work something weekly, you're going to get weekly results. If you work something daily, you're going to get daily results. And it's that 1%. It's that 1% better every day.
I think that comes down to standards. People have different standards, and some people are wanting the standard of someone that works daily. They want those results, and they're really not holding that standard. They're doing a weekly standard. They're doing that. It's important. Like, you're going to get out what you put in, and it's much easier if you put in a little bit every day that you're sure you're going to do, that you're sure you're going to get most of the time, 80 to 90% of the time. You can have bad days, but whatever. It's so much easier, you guys, to make changes.
Yeah.
Hear me, people. It's so much easier
steps.
to make changes.
That's our theme this year, right? Measured steps.
Small measured steps will get you there.
So now let's zoom out. That was a lot of details. If you could sum up in a couple of sentences what it actually looks like to be in the day-to-day of a client who is working through the open-minded approach, could you describe what that looks like?
Like a person in rehab or person that's new to recovery. There's just
with
so
a sponsor
much
that they're talking to every day.
With the sponsor that they're talking to every day. I'm not a big fan of rehab. I'm a much bigger fan of, but I think people get sober how they get sober. So I don't want to, but it's very much like immersion, like learning a new language. So you'd have to be immersed in it. Learning a sport, you'd need a reasonable degree of immersion where you're doing it every single day.
An intensive, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it feels
like. A recovery intensive.
Yeah,
with a lot of support.
With a lot of support. It's the same as me dragging my trash bag full of items into the detox. Here we are. I can't do this anymore. I need help. I cannot live like this anymore. I need things to change. I need to change. That's what it's like to work with me. That you're at that threshold. Now, I love people to come to me before they get to that desperate point.
Right.
But I also know how people are. I'm a people, and we don't do that a lot of times. We wait until we are worse for wear and we're at some kind of rock bottom, and then the gift of desperation comes upon us, and we're willing to step out and say, I need some help. So that's where people find themselves. What it's like to work with me on a day-to-day basis, I hope, is like learning a new language. I hope that it's a little challenging. I hope that it's fun. I hope that you're inspired to go out and speak it. I hope that you want to learn more when we're done with our time together. I hope you feel relief that you made the right decision and you picked the right person to help you. And I hope you feel hopeful and confident to move forward with those skills. That's what it's like to work with me. That's the reflections that I have received from people.
Yeah. Well, the open-minded approach, it's not some theory, right? It's not something that we want to talk about. We want people to hear about it and that's it. It's a living framework. And if you want to come and learn how to live the open-minded approach, we are ready for you. And there is a space for you here. Now, for pet professionals, we are doing our first ever deep dive on this topic. You can spend 2 days with us learning exactly how we train and what makes it so different from the traditional pet dog training. and also what makes it so incredibly effective. You can join us on October 18th and 19th in Cork, Ireland. Tickets are on sale now with payment plans available. Click the link in the show notes.
Unpacked was created by Jerri Sheriff and Mattison Simpson.
If you are enjoying this podcast, follow or subscribe to be sure you don't miss an episode, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.
Looking for more honest and relatable dog content? Check out our sister podcast, Straight Up Dog Talk. See you next time.